could go ahead and tiptoe through your life, digging in the dirt, you can stress on the strife, but I'm gonna fly past the worry and the pain today. I'm flying on faith, flying on faith. I'm flying on faith, faith. You could cry all night about the things that you hate, so dissatisfied in so many ways, but I'm gonna find a way to celebrate today. I'm flying on faith, flying on faith. I'm flying on faith, flying on faith. Picked up my baggage and I threw it out the door.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you today? We're coming here to you live with Pastor V on wellness. We've had some technical issues this morning. Apparently, they're doing some work on the lines out here for the internet, the Wi-Fi, and to improve them. And so the Wi-Fi has been going in and out. But here we are live today, and I wanted to bring us a part 2 today on the power of community check-ins. How are you really doing? As a result of the show yesterday, I actually got a phone call from someone who wanted to check in. They are walking through a pretty tough time. They lost their son at the same time that Ramon and I lost David. And she called because it was his birthday yesterday. And we had a good long talk and just kind of walking through some of the emotions of all of that. And I tell you, a community check-in is so important and it's real. And because of that, I wanted to make sure that I did a part 2 to let you know, not only do I talk the talk, but I walk the walk. Being there for her yesterday, you may have said, well, it boosted her, emotionally and even physically. She said she felt lighter after our conversation. You may say, oh, well, that was good for her. No, it was good for me too, because whenever we begin to have those interactions, those relational interactions, we begin to see each other and we begin to feel each other. And it's that those endorphins that I talk about begin to be released, and we as a people begin to feel better, lighter, our loads are lifted. And so I wanted to do a part 2 today. Once again, because we're talking about wellness, mind, body, and spirit, I do have to give you the disclaimer. And my disclaimer is that I am not a physician or a certified nutritionist. This should not be considered medical advice. You should see your physician before getting started with any diet or exercise program. But as always, guys, I get to remind you, this is not a diet or exercise program. We are talking about living our best life, living a life that is whole, and we feel well, and we feel as though we are connected to something bigger than ourselves. That's what this is. Good morning, Spring. I'm so glad that you are on, and we are going to be praying for Dan today, that all goes well at his appointment, that he gets everything that he needs from his physician. Good morning, Ray G. Glad you are with us as well. Have a great morning. So let's dive right on in. We've gone through our disclaimer. We know that here at Pastor V on Wellness, we deal with the body, the mind, and the spirit working together to make us our best and whole selves. And so let's dive on in today. So we are here, as I said, to take care of the whole person. So this is part 2 of our conversation on community wellness. Last time we talked about how consistency impacts our overall health. Today, we're leaning into something just as important, and that is that checking in with others. God created us for connection. In fact, it says in Genesis 2:18, it is not good for man to be alone. That was not a conversation about whether or not man, needed a wife or anything like that. He literally was saying, it is not good for man to be alone. There needs to be some companionship with someone that is like him. Yes, we were created in the image of God. However, the thing that we have to remember is that the true fellowship and communion, it happens one person to another. And yes, and there were times that God would literally almost touch the earth. And even now in our prayer time, we need that connection with him, but he also created us for connection with each other. In the early church, Acts 2, verse 42 through 47, believers broke bread together, they prayed together, and they shared everything together. They saw each other. They knew, Mary knew if Sarah down the street didn't have what she needed, and Mary helped to meet that need. We here in the South, I'm in Georgia, for those of you who are listening from somewhere else, we're here in Georgia. In Georgia, it used to be that same way, that neighbors really took care of each other. Now that things are a little different, we have to build community, and it may not be your next door neighbor, but we need to build community where we can break bread together, where we can pray together, and where we can share things, everything, our goods, our time, our emotional well-being. We can share those things. Our wellness is not just an individual journey. It is deeply tied to how we are seen, heard, and supported in our community. If let's just say you're on a diet, you're trying to lose weight, and you tell someone in your community, someone very close to you that you trust, hey, I am on this wellness journey, I'm trying to eat better, and they start bringing you potato chips and fried chicken and sweet potato pie and all that kind of stuff, then you're going to start wondering if this person is really ready to take this journey with you, and if they are truly a part of your community. Because remember, we are healthy, our healthiest, when we are in connection with others and we're all walking in the same direction. Now, they don't have to go on the diet with you, but they need to be able to support you as you are on that journey. Everyone doesn't have to do what we're doing, but they need to be in agreement with what we're doing, if that makes sense to you. A 2023 study from the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, showed people who have strong community ties experience lower rates of depression. They have improved immune function and longer life expectancy. That's why people who have experienced a traumatic event, if they are in community where they talk about that event, where they feel safe to share how they're feeling, those people tend to get beyond or past that tragedy, that tragic moment, much quicker than people who are living in isolation. When we ask someone, how are you really doing? We need to pause and listen. And you can become a healer in their story. The woman yesterday that I spoke of, I won't mention her name here, but what happened there with her was she called at a time that, I'm usually busy. And so she says, I'm not sure if you have time to talk, but I just needed to lean in for a minute. And I told her, I says, I have 20 minutes that I can give you my complete attention. And she says, wow, 20 minutes is good. What I did was I was very honest with her, because I didn't want her to think I had an hour and a half to talk to her. And she then could decide, because I said, I have 20 minutes that I can dedicate to you right now. Or we can talk later this evening where I can give you more time. So in other words, I gave her a choice, because if she needed more time than that 20 minutes, we would have to do that call later on. And she says, oh, 20 minutes is great. We can talk right now. And so I stopped everything and I listened to what she had to say. We can become healers in people's stories, guys. So withdrawal, sometimes we need to go and check on people. If we see that someone in our community is withdrawing, we know they generally come to Bible study, or they generally, meet us at the gym, or we've been walking together for the last month, and all of a sudden I can't get them on the phone. They're not answering texts, none of those things. We need to do a check-in ourselves. We don't have to wait for the person. We can call, we can go. If we've been calling and they're not answering, you may need to go and just knock on the door and say, hey, how are you really doing? How are you really doing? We can do what we call a wellness check on them. The police do it. You call and say, hey, I haven't heard from such and such. I went over, I knocked on the door, no one's answering, but the car is there. Can you do a wellness check? They can do a little bit more than us. Sometimes even something that drastic may be needed. So we need to look and make sure that we are checking in on our social circle as well. And if we ourselves begin to feel like we're withdrawing, stop, pause a minute, and ask, why am I not wanting to participate? Am I feeling a shift in my energy where all I want to do is sleep? I don't want to get up. Am I really irritable? Am I extremely sad? Check in with yourself too. And then you need to begin to reach out, even though it's tough, even though it feels like a struggle, you need to reach out. Let me just ask you a few questions. Have you had anyone check in on you lately? Has anyone called you and say, hey, how are you really doing? Sometimes it's hard for us to reach out because no one's reached out to us. It's not a sign that your circle is not there. It's just a sign that someone needs to make the first move. I hope I didn't lose you. My lights just kind of flickered. Do you feel seen by your circle? Are you checking in on others with genuine care? Today, I want you to think of someone. So text or call a friend and just say, I'm just thinking about you today. How are you really doing? I'm going to put that in. I'm going to type that in the chat because I want you to have access to that question. You today make a decision to call and check on someone and just say, hey, I was thinking about you today. That happens to me from time to time that someone will come to my mind and I'm like, I need to reach out to them. I haven't talked to them in a while. And I'll just reach out and say, hey, just thinking about you. How's it going? How are the kids? How's your husband? How is, the job? Start asking some questions that will pull that out so they know that you genuinely care about them. Now that we live in our technological age, host a group check-in. Do a little Zoom call and tell them, hey, I just, thought we could get together as a group and see how things are going. I'm going to post this too, because you may not have thought about this. During COVID, everybody was doing Zoom calls with their family. They were, hey guys, we can't come to Christmas, but we can be online and talk to each other and see how things are going. But you can actually host a check-in. You can do it on Zoom. You can do it on Facebook. Not Facebook. Facebook too. Facebook has a chat that you can do a group chat on. And everyone can come on and you can see faces and you can hear what they have to say. Also, you've got FaceTime where you can FaceTime. I know my sisters and we FaceTime from time to time, and there's like 4 of us that get on together. FaceTime each other. Get in your group and say, how are you doing? What's something heavy you're carrying right now? What's something heavy you're carrying right now? What's bringing you joy? Sometimes you don't even have to start with the heavy question. Just say, what's bringing you joy right now? We talked about joy on Monday, I think it was, when I told you my G babies are here. That's bringing me joy right now. In fact, they're dressed and ready to go to the beach. I'm going to hop off of here and I'm going to get dressed and we're going to the beach today. That brings me joy. What's something you're carrying that's heavy? Because sometimes we can get in community and help each other. Make it a rhythm, not just a one-time act. Maybe every couple of weeks, you guys check in together, especially if someone is in a moment right now that is heavy. If you've identified a heavy moment, maybe checking in once a week or once every other week for a while, just to help walk them through that hard time. That might be necessary. And so remember this, that we are each other's keeper. Okay. We are responsible for each other, and we are to be there for each other. The word of God says it's not good for man, and man there, man, translates into mankind or human beings. It is not good for human beings to be alone. So remember, we had a challenge yesterday. I want to just add this piece to it. Reach out to two people and ask how they're really doing. Check in with yourself. How are you really doing? Ask yourself, how are you really doing? Pray, ask the Lord, Lord, how am I really doing? Show me myself. Take a minute to journal it out. I have a friend, Shamar Ward. You guys, if you have not been to a positive poetry at Radiant Church, you need to come. It's the fourth Friday of every month. It's amazing. She gives us a writing prompt, and that writing prompt, even for people who are not poets, that writing prompt is so cleansing. The last one we did was on if you were a weather condition. It could be anything. It could be a sunny day. It could be a rainy day. It could be a stormy day. It could be a tsunami, a flood. It could be sunburst. Sometimes we have those sunbursts. It could be any weather condition you can think of. If you could use a weather condition to explain your emotional mood or state right now, what would it be? And she says, use as many descriptive words as you can come up with. It was so cleansing, guys. It was like a weight off of my shoulders. And so I'm putting this in the chat so that you this week can check in with each other. What is it? There it is. I'm like, where did it go? Sometimes when you're using electronics, things go kind of haywire. But reach out to two people and ask them how they're really doing, and only do it when you have time. If someone calls you, do what I did with the young lady. Let her know, this is how much time I have now. If you need more time, let's set an appointment so that we can really lean in and hear each other. Okay. Check in with yourself. Like I said, journal or pray. Lord, how am I really doing? Help me really dig in to know. And then plan a moment this week to be fully present with someone in your community. Did I chop off some of that, y'all? I think I did. With someone in your community, check in with them. How are you doing? I want to make sure you're okay, because you matter to me, and I want us to connect and figure out how we're going to do this life together. Your community wellness check could be the breakthrough that someone has been waiting for. I can tell you, the young lady yesterday, she says, thank you. I feel seen. I feel heard. And she said this, I don't feel crazy when I'm talking to you. First of all, she's not crazy. And I hate that word crazy anyway. But sometimes we just need to talk to people. We need to say the things out loud. When they're running around in our heads, they feel a little bit out of control. But when we begin to say them out loud to another human being, then we begin to feel seen. We begin to feel validated and heard. And we become healers to others. So let's get in community. And I'm going to pray us out this morning. God, I just want to thank you for placing us in community. Lord, help us to slow down and see each other with your eyes. Lord, give us the courage to check in and to love deeply. Lord, help us to check in not just with someone else, but with ourselves. Make us agents of healing in our families, in our friendships, and Lord, even in our actual communities, our actual neighborhoods. Our next door neighbor may be starving to have someone ask the question, how are you really doing? And Lord, I just pray for courage and wisdom to have these conversations. Because, Lord, I know that our body, our mind, and our spirit needs connection. And we give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen. I just want to say thank you for joining me this morning here on Pastor V on Wellness. Share this with somebody. I guarantee you there's someone out there that needs to hear that connection is impossible. Connection is important. Why is it impossible? Some people feel like it's impossible. It's not. And it is important. And sometimes we have to take the first step to get there. So remember that, and do know that my prayer here for you always, always is that you be blessed and you be whole. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to share this with someone.